Hi guys, so in this video we will be looking at India under the Mughals. Okay, we have looked into the Mughal administration and all these things and how they came into the picture, how they conquered India. All this part were looked in the previous lecture of lesson 20. Now we will be looking at what the causes of the Vellore Mutiny, the economic and social life under the Mughal Empire, Mughal nobility and their way of life, agriculture and trade, cultural development, art and culture, Mughal paintings and literature. Okay, and economic and social life. Okay, Mughal period saw important social and economic developments. During this period, many European travelers and traders came to India. Their accounts contain a mine of information about the socio-economic conditions. Especially, they generally discussed about what the wealth and prosperity of India, and also the luxurious life of the aristocratic class. See, I'll tell you an example of how rich India was at that time. Okay, there was Samudrin. It's not related to Mughal Empire. There was Samudrin in Travancore or in Cochin area in Kerala region. So when Vasco da Gama came to Kerala or to meet Samudrin, he brought with him sugar and spices and some factory made clothes with him. Okay, and he was going to give it to Samudrin. Then one of his ministers told Vasco da Gama, see, are you insulting the Samudrin? Because nothing other than gold was suitable for the king. That much wealth was there in a tiniest kingdom of India at that time. It was much, even the tiniest kingdom of India was richer than Britain and France, it is said. So you can imagine the richness or the prosperity of the Mughal Empire that ruled whole of India. Okay, the Mughal nobility. Continuing with our chapter, the nobles of the Mughal period formed a privileged class. Most of them were foreigners, such as Turks, Afghans. But there was a tussle between them throughout this period. However, many of them settled down in India and made it a permanent home. We have discussed the conflict between the Afghans and the Turks. Okay, readily assimilated into an Indian society and culture, and from the time of Akbar, Rajputs were included into the nobility. For example, mentioned we have Raja Man Singh, Raja Birbal, Raja Todarmal. Raja Man Singh was a military commander, Birbal was a minister. Then we have Raja Todarmal was a kind of like finance minister. Okay, later the Marathas also joined Mughal service and rose to the position of nobles. Okay, and when we look at Marathas, we will see that even Marathas were actually working for under the Mughal Empire. Actually, they were protecting Mughal Empire from invaders on the northwestern frontier. Okay, we'll look into it. Okay, Mughal nobles were paid high salaries, but their expenses were also very high. Each noble maintained a large number of servants, horses, elephants. They wanted to live like Mughal emperors. Okay, costly jewels were worn by men and women. They also made costly presents to the emperors. Rural mass, the common people. Okay, while the wealthy people wore silk and cotton clothes, the poor people wore the minimum clothes. They suffer from the insufficient clothing even during winter. The poor people were not that better. Okay, it might be due to the high cost of leather. They were barefooted. Rice, millets, pulses were the staple food of the common people. Fish was popular on the coastal region, while ghee and oil were cheaper. Salt, sugar were more expensive. Even salt, sugar. See, this shows the economic inequality in the empire. Okay, as plenty of cattle were kept by the rural people, milk products were available in plenty. Okay, agriculture. An estimate claimed that the population of India was the beginning of the 17th century was about 125 million. A plenty of land was available for cultivation. Agriculture was prosperous. A large variety of crops such as wheat, rice, gram, barley, pulses were cultivated. Commercial crops such as cotton, indigo, sugarcane, oil seeds were also cultivated. During the 17th century, new crops, namely tobacco, maize, were added. Okay, and potato and red chilies came later in the 18th century. Okay, but no agricultural technological development was there. However, India was able to export food items like rice, sugar to the neighboring countries. Now we will see the growth of trade under Mughal Empire. Okay, Indian trading classes were largely, there was certain sect or group of people who controlled trade. Okay, long distances trade were controlled by who? By Seth or Bora traders. When you go to the Delhi side, we have many Bora community over there. Were called Banik. Another class of traders known as Banjaras. Banjaras is very important because they were kind of like the supply chain link in the Mughal Empire. They supplied food or pulses for the Mughal army during wars. They were like they specialized in carrying bulk goods. The Banjaras used to move long distance with their goods on the back of oxen. They were like caravan traders. Okay. And trading community did not belong to one caste or religion. Gujarati merchants included Hindus, Jains, and Muslims. In Rajasthan, Oswals, Maheshwaris, and Agarwals came to be known as Marwaris. Marwaris are another important trading community in India. Okay. And we have Multanis, Khatris, Afghanis conducted trade with Central Asia. In South India, the Chettis on the Coromandel coast and the Muslim merchants of Malabar were most important trading communities. Okay. Bengal exported sugar, rice, as well as delicate muslin silk. The Coromandel coast became a center of textile production. Gujarat was an entry point for foreign goods. From there, fine textiles and silk were taken to North India. Indigo and food grains were exported from North India through Gujarat. Okay. Major imports into India were certain metals such as tin, copper, war horses. War horses. Even in Vijayanagar Empire, we saw the import of war horses. Luxury items such as ivory. The balance of trade was maintained by the import of gold and silver, and the growth of foreign trade had resulted in the increased import of gold and silver in the 17th century. Dutch and English traders also came to Gujarat during the 17th century, found the Indian traders alert and brisk. Okay. Now we have cultural development due under the Mughals. Mughal period witnessed a significant and widespread development in cultural activity. It is manifest on the sphere of art and architecture, painting, music, and literature. In this cultural development, Indian traditions were blended with Turco-Iranian culture. Okay, was brought into India by the Mughals. Okay, even inside, after Aurangzeb, there was a conflict between the Iranians and the Turkish nobility. Okay, and there were times when even the emperor himself was killed by these two sects. Okay, art and architecture. The architecture of the Mughals includes magnificent forts. The Mughals were fond of laying gardens. We have Nishad Bagh in Kashmir, Shalimar Bagh in Lahore, Pinjore Garden in Punjab have survived even today. During the reign of Sher Shah, we have discussed this. Sarsam in Bihar, Purana Kila near Delhi was built. These two monuments are considered the architectural marvels of medieval India. This is the image of Purana Kila. Okay, Purana Kila. And we have Shah Jahan building the famous Red Fort of Delhi and its Rang Mahal, Diwan Am and Diwan Khas. This is Diwan Khas. Okay, Diwan Khas by him. And when we look at Akbar built the Fatehpur Sikri. This is Fatehpur Sikri. Okay, Fatehpur Sikri, 36 kilometers from Agra. It was called City of Victory. Many buildings in Gujarati and Bengali styles were found because it was mainly built for his Rajput wives. Okay, most magnificent building in it was the Juma Masjid, and the gateway to it called the Balad Darwaza or lofty gate. The height of the gateway was 176 feet. And another important building was Jodha Bhai's palace, Taj Mahal, with 5 stories. Okay, and during Akbar's reign, Humayun built a tomb in Delhi. It was a massive. Akbar's reign, Humayun's tomb was built in Delhi. It is a massive dome of marble. Okay, it was considered the precursor. It inspired Shah Jahan to build Taj Mahal. Okay, Akbar's tomb at Sikandra near Agra was completed by Jahangir. Okay, Noor Jahan built the tomb of her father, Ityabdullah in Agra. Okay, it was constructed wholly of white marble and floral designs with precious stones on the walls. This is actually the design attributed to Taj Mahal also. This type of decoration was called Pietratura, important MCQ point. Okay, and we have next Shah Jahan. Taj Mahal was considered the jewel of the builder's art. Okay, it contained all the architectural forms developed by the Mughals. The chief glory of Taj Mahal is a massive dome and the 4 slender minarets. See, we have Taj Mahal over here, the minarets over here. The decorations were kept to the minimum. Okay, mosque building had reached its peak during Shah Jahan's reign. Moti Masjid of Agra was built entirely on white marble, and Juma Masjid of Delhi was built on red stone. All these things were there. Okay, Mughal architectural traditions continued in the 18th century and early 19th century. Their influence in the provincial kingdoms is clearly visible. Most features of Mughal tradition have been seen in the Golden Temple of Amritsar. Okay, paintings and music. Okay, the foundation of the Mughal painting was laid by Humayun. I have told you in the previous chapter. The foundation of Mughal painting was laid by Humayun. Okay, he was staying in Persia. When he was staying in Persia, he brought with him 2 painters, Mir Sayyid Ali Abdul Samad to Delhi. The two painters became famous during Akbar's reign. Akbar commissioned the illustrations of several literary and religious texts. Okay, he invited large number of painters from different parts of the country to his court. Both Hindus and Muslims joined the work. Baswan, Miskina, Daswant attained great positions in Akbar's court. See, this kind of Mughal gemstone painting was actually popularized by Jahangir. Okay, do keep that in mind. Okay, and or portrait painting was by Jahangir. Illustrations of Persian versions of Mahabharata and Ramayana were produced in miniature form. Many Indian fables became miniature paintings in the art studio established by Akbar. Okay, most important work was Hamza Nama, which consisted of 1200 paintings. Indian colors such as peacock blue, Indian red began to be used. Okay, Mughal paintings reached its climax during the reign of Jahangir. He employed a number of painters like Abul Hasan, Bihan Das, Madhu, Anand, all these people. Apart from paintings of scenes of hunting, battles, royal courts, progresses were made in portrait painting, paintings of animals. Many albums containing paintings, calligraphies were produced during the Mughal period. Okay, influence of European painting could also be seen. Okay, another music. Music also developed under Mughals. Akbar patronized the Tenzin of Gwalior. Tenzin is one of the jewels of Akbar's court. Tenzin composed many ragas. Jahangir and Shah Jahan were also fond of music. Okay, language and literature. Persian language became widespread in the Mughal Empire. Abul Fasil was a great scholar and historian in his period. He set an eye and he wrote many historical books. This is important. Ain Akbari, an Akbar Nama, authored by Abul Fasil. The leading poet of that period was his brother Abul Faisi. We have read about him in the previous chapter also. These people actually influenced Akbar in his religious policies also. These people helped him to be tolerant towards other religions. The translation of Mahabharata into Persian language was done by who? Abu Fazl. Upti, Naziri were the other two leading Persian poets. Abul Faisal, okay, Faisal. Jahangir biography. Tusuk-i Jahangiri is Jahangir's autobiography. And Tusuk-i Babari was the Babur's autobiography. Okay, same starting, just the end word is different according to the name of the ruler. Okay, was famous for its style. He also patronized scholars like Giyas Beg, Nakib, and Khan Naimatullah. Shah Jahan also patronized many writers, historians like Abdul Hamid Lahori, author of Padshah Nama, Inayat Khan, who wrote Shah Jahan Nama. His son Dara Sikoy translated Bhagavad Gita and Upanishad. Another important point in a prelims perspective view. Okay, and also Abdul Hamid Lahori, author of Padshah Nama, and we have Inayat Khan, who wrote Shah Jahan Nama. Okay, many historical works were written during the reign of Aurangzeb. Famous dictionaries of Persian language were also compiled during Mughal period, and regional languages also developed during this period. And many devotional works, including Ramayana, Mahabharata, were also translated to regional languages. Okay, and Tulsidas wrote the Hindi version of Ramayana called Ramcharitmanas. Okay, what we learned in this chapter? First one, socio-economic life under the Mughals, socio and economic life of the nobles and also the rural mass, agricultural and trade under the Mughals, chief exports and imports, cultural development during the Mughals, art and architectural palaces, forts, mosques, Mughal gardens, development of Mughal paintings and their significance, growth of language and literature. Okay, I hope you people were able to understand today's topic. Okay, and do see the previous videos. It will help you to create a link between all these Deccan Sultanates, Delhi Sultanates, Vijayanagar Empire. All these links could be created easily by watching the videos in a flow. Okay, I am arranging all this into a playlist. Do watch it from the beginning. Okay, thank you guys. God bless you. Jai Hind.